About 3.5 months ago, Ford announced it was ending production of the battery electric F-150 Lightning, and the company was replacing it with an extended range version with a combustion engine that would have somewhere around 700 miles of driving range. Now that model isn't expected to be available until sometime in 2027. Now I own a 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat. I got my truck in mid-2022. I have about 45,000 miles on it now, and I couldn't be happier. I also create a good amount of F-150 Lightning content, so I'm known online in the Lightning forums. Now, since Ford announced end of production for the F-150 Lightning, a lot of the people in the forums have reached out to me through email and various private messages online and asking me about Ford's commitment to existing Lightning owners. They're worried about service, they're worried about parts moving forward while the truck is no longer available. So I reached out to Ford and asked them a couple of questions about this very topic, and Ford was kind enough to get back to me within a day or two. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Is Ford going to continue to service, provide parts, maybe offer continuing over-the-air updates for the Lightning now that the vehicle is out of production? Let's get into it. All right, so before we get into the meat of the discussion here, I just want to talk a little bit about my experience with my F-150 Lightning. As I mentioned, I got it in mid-2022. I was in one of the earlier batches of Lightning deliveries. I remember reserving it like the minute it became available online, and I was in the early batch of deliveries. I've had it now for almost 4 years, not quite 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 months shy of 4 years. I have 45,000 miles on it. That's not a tremendous amount of miles, but I have 4 different cars, so I kind of split up my driving. My primary driver is the Lightning though, and that's because I just really love driving it. I love the driving experience. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's faster than a pickup truck has any right to be, and I like driving spiritedly on occasion. I've been known to do that. And overall, I am extremely satisfied with my Lightning. And it's been my experience that most owners feel the same way. If you look at the Lightning groups online, the discussion groups, there's various forums that you can look at, there's Facebook groups. An overwhelming number of Lightning owners love their truck. Ford just didn't sell enough of them. They sold about 100,000 of them in 3.5 years. They were hoping to sell nearly 100,000 per year. The interesting thing is the Lightning has been the best-selling electric pickup truck since day one. There was a short period, a quarter or two, where the Cybertruck outsold it in those quarters when the Cybertruck first launched. But then the Lightning immediately reclaimed the lead, and it has held it ever since. And I'm pretty sure to date, it still is the highest selling cumulative electric truck. I think the Cybertruck will probably pass it at some point a couple months down the road, but that's because the Lightning is no more. There still are some Lightning left on lots. I know my local dealer has 2 of them that I noticed. And that's part of the reason why I want to talk about this here today, because I've had a mixture of people reach out to me and ask me about Ford's commitment to the Lightning. Will they support it? Will they get parts? If I have a battery problem in 2 or 3 years, will they be able to fix it? You know, and then there's other people that are saying, you know, man, I'm looking at the dealers. There's some sweet deals on the Lightnings right now. The few that are remaining, should I buy one? Will Ford support it? You know, I don't want to buy something and then in 2 years there's a problem and I can't get the part. So I reached out to Ford. And I told them what was going on, that I'm getting at least 25 to 30 emails and messages from various people asking me basically the same thing. And they were kind enough to respond in a day or two. It's pretty quick. So before we jump into Ford's responses, I want to read, I just picked 2 of the messages that I got from followers, so you can kind of get a feeling of what their concerns are. So let's take a look at those now. First up, I get an email from a Dave. And he said, hey, Tom, longtime follower of State of Charge and your work at Inside EVs. I own a 2023 Lightning XLT standard range with 57,000 miles. The truck has been everything I hoped it would be and more, but with Ford canceling production, I'm really worried about its future. I've never had a problem with it and have only been to the dealership for a couple of minor recalls. But eventually, I will need service and replacement parts down the road. So basically, I'm asking you, when do you think Ford will stop making parts for it? Do you think I should get out ahead of that and sell it now? Any insight would be helpful. And then I got an email from a gentleman named Tom. He said, Tom, first I'd like to thank you for all you do to help educate people like me who are considering getting an EV. I have watched all of your Ford F-150 Lightning videos because I've been thinking about getting one for over a year now. Just when I was about to pull the trigger on a new Lightning Flash, I already haggled with my dealer over the price. Ford announced they were canceling it. That scared me and I backed out of the contract. But I still really want one, and there are a few at local dealers and they are very willing to negotiate now. So I'm thinking about buying one as soon as this week. However, I'm still worried about future service and updates. Have you talked to Ford about its plans to continue supporting the Lightning? Will they still offer OTAs? Will dealers still service the truck in 8 years? If I buy one now, I'll probably keep it for at least 8 years. What do you think? Today's video is sponsored by evchargingstations.com. If you drive an electric vehicle or you're planning to, this site is packed with comprehensive charger reviews, detailed DC fast charging graphs, and the latest news from all of the fast charging networks. You'll find real-world testing, easy-to-understand comparison, and deep dives into how different electric vehicles actually charge. Before you buy an EV charger or plan your next road trip, make sure to bookmark evchargingstations.com and make smarter charging decisions. And those are all valid concerns. If you're about to make an investment on a new $60,000 vehicle that's out of production, you don't want to get stuck holding the bag in a couple of years if there's a problem and you can't get it fixed. And for the gentleman that currently owns one, let's say 2 or 3 years Ford stopped making batteries for it, or the center screen, that big center screen that's unique to the Lightning. What if you can't get those anymore and he wants to sell it? Who's going to buy it? So those are legitimate questions. Luckily, as I mentioned, Ford responded and gave me the answer that I expected. The thing is, vehicles go out of production all the time. I mean, Ford just canceled the Edge. The Edge was one of their best-selling SUVs for, I don't even know how long the Edge has been on for sale, 20 years or something like that. They sold millions of them. And just a year and a half, 2 years ago, they ended production for the Edge. Now, they're not going to orphan all their existing Edge customers. There must be, like I said, millions of them still on the road. So there's always a period of time that they'll continue servicing vehicles. And I personally didn't know how long that is. So that's part of the reason why I reached out to them. Now, the interesting thing is that Tom asked about OTAs. And just today, I got an OTA for the Lightning. So they're evidently continuing to push out over-the-air updates to improve the vehicle. So I don't know if that's going to go on forever, but I suppose if they come across a problem that they can fix with an OTA, they'll push it out. So, I mean, as far as the OTA goes, they're doing it and the Lightning's out of production. Now, as far as servicing it and having parts for it, let's take a look at what Ford told me. And this is the response that I got in the email I sent to Ford Communications. First and foremost, our F-150 Lightning customers are important to us. So one of my questions was, how long will Ford support with service and parts now that production has ended? Like all Ford vehicles, we will maintain parts and service for 10 years. Okay, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, Ford retires vehicles all the time. And even when they come out with the next generation of that same vehicle, the previous generation, they continue to maintain parts and service for a guaranteed 10 years. Okay, will Ford support current F-150 Lightning customers with OTAs? We are committed to ensuring ongoing support of our vehicle's software for both quality and safety. Okay, well, so far they're still doing it because I just received one today, 3.5 months after they ended production. And then I asked, what is Ford doing to support existing F-150 Lightning leaseholders? Customers with a new vehicle order placed prior to their lease termination date are eligible to extend their lease. For these customers with an order, Ford will extend the lease until the ordered vehicle is delivered to the dealer or customer. That's nothing unusual. If you have an ongoing lease of any vehicle from a car company and you buy another car from them and it's not in yet, they will typically extend the lease until you can take delivery of that next vehicle you've ordered from them. They won't extend it if you've ordered it from another automaker, but if you've ordered it from them, they will extend the lease. And they also said, we also have a series of unique programs for F-150 Lightning customers to lease another F-150 Lightning while supplies last or shift into another Ford vehicle. We encourage you to reach out to your local Ford dealer for more information on current offers. And if you were one of the early F-150 Lightning customers and did a 3-year lease, your lease would be up. I mean, my lease would have been up in July of 2025. So there are people that had a Lightning on a 3-year lease and their lease is expiring now. And if they like the vehicle enough, evidently Ford will put you in another one while supplies last, and they are offering some special incentives for that. So if you're happy with your initial lease and you want to grab a new one before they're gone, now's the time to go to a dealership and do that. All right, well, that's really all I have here today. I just wanted to communicate what Ford told me. Hopefully, if you're on the fence about getting a new or even buying a used Lightning, or if you had one and you were a little worried about continuing support, this should put your mind at ease. Ford's going to continue support, parts, sales, and hopefully OTAs through 10 years. Now, probably not going to do 10 years of OTAs. I don't think that would even be necessary, but at least for the short time, it appears they're continuing with the over-the-air updates. And as far as parts and service, you're locked in for at least 10 years without having a problem. And quite honestly, one of the beauties about the Lightning was that Ford was able to use so many parts of its existing F-150, the combustion version. So of course there's a lot of parts that are specific to the Lightning, the battery, the powertrain, and a few other things. Many of the other parts on the vehicle, on the body, the interior, are just F-150 parts. And you know they sell millions of those. So, you know, if it's any type of a body part, like a door or seats or anything like that, you don't have to worry about that. They're going to have tons of stock on them for way beyond 10 years because of the amount of F-150s that they've sold this last generation that the Lightning was in. So, you know, and even if something goes wrong, like you do need a battery problem. You need a battery replacement. Besides the dealers, there's third-party companies doing that now. Now, my friends over at Out of Spec Renew, Alex, who runs Out of Spec Review, it's a YouTube channel, you should check it out. He just did a battery upgrade on a used F-150 Lightning. He upgraded the standard range battery pack to an extended range battery pack for a customer. So even third-party shops can fix these electric vehicles. It's not like you have to take it to a Ford dealership. If by some chance down the road you're somebody that keeps the truck for a very long time, it's beyond 10 years and Ford says, you know what, we're not doing the batteries anymore because that's an old generation vehicle. You'll be able to get one from a salvage yard somewhere or from a third party and swap the battery out. So I really wouldn't worry about that. And I mean, the biggest proof that I can show that I'm not worried about it is I'm keeping my Lightning. I'm not selling my Lightning. I'm going to hold on to it. At least I plan to hold on to it for a long time. I'm not worried about service. I'm not worried about getting parts. I think Ford will do the right thing, and certainly not going to run out and sell it now because I don't think I'm going to get service. So far, I haven't had to have any service. Like one of the people that sent me an email, I've just had to bring it to the dealer a couple of times for some customer service updates and a recall or two. But other than that, the only thing I've needed to do is buy tires for it, wiper blades, and a cabin air freshener. That's it. 45,000 miles, nothing. I know eventually there's going to be something that needs to get fixed. Actually, I broke the charge port door myself. And I bought one online and swapped it out. I actually made a video about me changing out the charge port door, but that was my fault. I just broke it off. But I'm not worried about that, and I don't think you should be either. Lightning is a fantastic truck, in my opinion, and I would recommend pretty much anybody. Now, you have to make it work for you. If it doesn't work, don't buy one. If you think that you need longer range, you're towing far, don't try to squeeze a square peg in a round hole. But for most people, I really do think the Lightning could be a very effective personal and work truck, save you a lot of money, and provide a better driving experience than what the combustion F-150 does. Again, I don't recommend if you live in an apartment, you can't charge at home. I don't recommend if you're going to frequently need to tow heavy items, long distances. There's better options. But there's plenty of people that would use a pickup truck and not need to do those things and can either charge at their home or at their work location. In that case, have at it, man. I think the Lightning is a fantastic pickup truck, and I've met very few people that bought them and weren't very happy with them. All right, well, that's all I have here today. If this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.